Radiant team ban.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 5. It's Game 2 between Complexity and Leviathan in the best of 3 that they're currently playing to decide who's going to stay in the winner's bracket and who's going to drop down to losers to have a future date with Swag to see who is facing elimination there. But for right now, Leviathan, they just crushed their way through Game 1. We'll see if they could do it again, or if we'll see if Complexity can rally. I'm Mikelorus, got Grandis here as well. What do you think Complexity have to do different?
I think they should probably be a little less cute with their draft. It was a really good draft. Like, I very much was excited to see the Shadow Demon work out for Complexity, but I think they relied a little too much on that. The Shadow Demon's early roams weren't very effective, and although they were attempted, they never really got that many kills with it. So yeah, we'll just have to see. I think a lot of that first game came down to Leviathan just playing really well. Their focus fire inside teamfights was immaculate. They're going to open up this game with a Bat Rider, same as last for Jenkins, and he played pretty well in the Bat. With the Vengeful Spirit banned out by Complexity themselves, I think this is completely reasonable.
That's probably what's going to happen most of the time when you decide to spend your ban on a Vengeful Spirit. You're just ensuring the safety of the Bat Rider pick. Complexity once again are going to grab that Lina, this time with the Shaker, but Lina last game was lukewarm. Like, she threw out a couple skills occasionally. Her Laguna Blades weren't really impressive. They didn't really come out that often, and though she did have heroes that could in theory set up for her, she never really got off to the start that she really wanted to, even though she had a really good lane versus the Shadow Fiend. So I don't really know about Complexity running this back. It seems like they should have gone for something completely different.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how it pans out for them this game around, and hopefully for them they'll be able to get a little bit more momentum. I think one of the biggest issues in the first game is there was a point where the Shadow Fiend just wasn't manageable, especially after getting that double kill inside the river fight. There really wasn't much that the Lina could accomplish, and then everybody got so tanky. Once you have a Scotty on the Shadow Fiend and full Ags and Viper just being Viper, it really wasn't a very conducive Lina game. There was a small window, but that window was missed.
Right, so we'll see if this Lina can keep that window open a little bit more in this game. As well, Leviathan, they second pick up a Zeus. It's not really the most common follow-up to a Bat Rider pick, but still, burst damage is burst damage. And Leviathan, when they pick up the Zeus, they do run it in, I think, every single fashion. Like, solo offlane Zeus is something that I've seen them do in the past, although with the Bat Rider probably not. Supports Zeus or core Zeus doesn't really matter. They're going to have a lot of extra damage to try to make this Lina's life difficult.
Yeah, there definitely is. We're going to see Phantom Lancer again picked up by, or banned out by Leviathan, I should say. Although this game, they have plenty of room to deal with the Phantom Lancer with their picks, I'd say, and Zeus is pretty good against PL. It seems that it's just something that they don't want to deal with, and that's understandable.
Yeah, he is maybe what you would call a cancerous, the Cancer Lancer. Not sure if it's getting there just yet. He's still, well, yeah, I don't know the medical terms. I'm not even going to try to make a medical metaphor, because that's just going to be bad if I try. It's going to be Juggernaut to be banned out with Leviathan and Shadow Fiend out for Complexity. I think these bans are a lot more understandable than the last, where last game we saw just a lot of support hate. Complexity this time, they're just going to take out some of those cores. That Shadow Fiend especially is completely justifiable, though really Leviathan, they could have just as good of a laning stage with any other hero and still end up in a similar result.
Yeah, this is going to leave a lot of very high tier supports inside the pool. Currently, the only ones that have been left banned are Vengeful Spirit and the Enigma. You still have the likes of Witch Doctor, Skywrath Mage. There's plenty of good picks.
It's going to be the Slark to be banned out for Complexity, even though they do have a couple of tools to deal with that Slark. It's again kind of like the Phantom Lancer, just we would rather not want to deal with this hero. Lion's still in the pool, and if they want to grab that, then the burst damage of Complexity from the two cannons of the Laguna Blade and Finger of Death, that could instantly get you kills. Maybe it's probably going to be doing so much damage that it's overkill, but they'll be really dead. If you kill a hero with that much damage, they're going to be feeling pretty bad about themselves when they respawn. They're going to be hurting when that happens, but Disruptor's actually the pick from Complexity. So last game we saw them grab the Shadow Demon in an attempt to slow down this Bat Rider. This time they're going to try something different. They already had the Shaker, so I guess that was, you know, kind of a pseudo counter there. But between Shaker and Disruptor, I don't think the Bat Rider in this game is going to have as great a time.
I think this is more reliable coming out from Complexity. Not only is it a longer range way to disrupt the Bat Rider initiation, even if they don't disrupt the Bat Rider initiation, they still contribute a lot. Like, Shadow Demon, all he does is really drop that setup and then purge the Viper, or at least in that game. and that's it. But these heroes, you're going to offer a static storm. There's a lot of mixed utility from both Earthshaker and Disruptor, and although they're a pretty damage-light combination, especially in lane, which might be abused by Leviathan a little bit, I think they make up for it with that ability to just CC and put up so many barriers inside the fights. It's really annoying to move through a fight when you have kinetic fields, fissures, and static storms going on. Lion's going to be picked for Leviathan, and this is a really good choice too. Their Lion in game number 1 is probably the hidden carry, I'd say.
Yeah, and I'm a lot more okay with Leviathan rolling this hero back than Complexity rolling back the Lina, but for Complexity, they are very, very soft. Like, Shaker is tanky for the first couple of levels, and that's about it. Once you get, like, past the level 3 mark, then usually everyone else in the game is going to be tankier than their support Shaker, but Lina very soft, Disruptor very soft, and Leviathan are working with a lot of damage. Maybe not as much in the Batrider, but Zeus and Lion, that burst is insane, and if Leviathan grab any sort of right-click damage dealers, Juggernaut would have actually been pretty sweet for them in this game, but not to be the case. Then Complexity are going to be on the defensive most of the time. They're going to have to rely on those barriers in order to keep themselves alive, because I don't really see them taking a heads-up fight up against Leviathan's damage output should Leviathan grab any strength hero at all. So it's certainly something that can be abused, but similarly, I guess, Leviathan, they're not too tanky either.
Yeah, for sure. A hero I'd love to see that we're never going to see, and maybe it's not even the best, would be like an IO CK for Leviathan, and I'd love to see them pick up the IO. There's a lot of really good partners that could work pretty nicely this game, although the Nyx is a good pick for Complexity. I quite like it. Again, they're going to pick up the Spirit Breaker, however. Interesting. Okay, I'll talk about the Nyx a little bit first. Up against 3 heroes already, there's heroes that can be very easily hunted down. Lion, Zeus, and Batrider are all pretty squishy, especially once you get points into Mana Burn. And Spike Carapace is amazing defensively up against Batrider. Being able to stun him out with just standing in his Firefly and then setting up for an Impel is wonderful. But I'm pretty interested to see the Spirit Breaker pick again for Leviathan. It worked pretty well in game number 1, and I suppose if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, but that being said, for the same reasons why I thought the Batrider would be having a much worse game, the Spirit Breaker is as well. Disruptor and Shaker, great supports to have up against the Spirit Breaker, and Lina Nyx also, or maybe not as much Lina. Lina, when she gets her Yule Scepter, is very anti-Spirit Breaker. Nyx Assassin is always very anti-Spirit Breaker. Leviathan, they're going to try to, you know, have, as you said, a very similar draft to the last game, but I just don't know if this is going to be similar because Complexity have so much more utility in their heroes, and they'll be able to manipulate the Spirit Breaker and the Batrider's ability to initiate very, very easily, while at the same time, hopefully Nyx Assassin in this game is going to get a little bit of traction. And pretty much all of the recent Nyx Assassin games I've seen, the bug has just been instantly squashed, and he was more or less just a useless hero. A walking stun that's not even guaranteed to land, not that great, but the Spirit Breaker at the very least is going to be a tanky hero, and we see 2 more tanky heroes being taken out in the Bristle and the Viper.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see what Complexity settle on. Both of these teams are probably looking for their safe lane farming hero. It's very unlikely it's going to be anything else, and I think this gives Leviathan a slight bit of an edge when they're picking theirs, as Complexity are going to have to show their full 5-man lineup first. At the moment, I'm not sure who's the best hero to work with Complexity Gaming's lineup, as their first 4 are pretty self-contained. Even though they have a nice synergy when it comes to chain stunning and getting kills together, they don't necessarily need each other to work out.
Yeah, maybe just like duos of heroes, and you have one stun into another stun or something like that. It's a Spectre for Complexity. They were lacking the physical right-click damage, and that's something that they needed to pick up. But up against what Leviathan have, this Spectre is going to be under a lot of pressure, and therefore there's going to be a lot of pressure on the other 4 heroes of Complexity to protect the Spectre. They will be able to do an okay job at that, but man, this Spectre is going to be under the gun for a good portion of this game. And Leviathan, I guess they have to pick up a similar hero, and it's going to be pretty much mirrored strategies. Like, they have both sides working with a very much so 4 protect 1 kind of game. So the enemy team has a Spectre. You don't go for one of those softer range heroes, but who do you go for? Obviously, tankier is better, but up against Nyx Assassin, Medusa is looking really bad. So what's the pick for Leviathan?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's one that immediately comes to mind. Anti-Mage could be alright. A lot of the damage coming out from Complexity is very magic-focused, although they do have a lot of raw CCs, so maybe AM's not even what they settle on. There's no clear choice for Leviathan.
Trying to think of the... Okay, well, that is fine. I mean...
Wait, that's a Jenkins Morphling. If they don't switch this around, that's offlane. They're switching, for sure. I've not seen Jenkins not play the Batrider for a long time.
Spirit Breaker Core, though? Is that what Is that what we were saying? Because
Maybe. If he keeps the Morphling, it probably is.
okay, so this is going to be pretty interesting. Leviathan have stuns for years. Like, if they stun you once, they will stun you over and over again. A lot of pressure on the Zeus, I suppose, but this is... I mean, maybe we're just thinking too much about this off-lane stunning Morphling because it's all the rage nowadays. It's the thing that people do in Dota nowadays, but it's always possible that they just put him on a hard carry and then that's good.
Yeah, they've
And
swapped.
with Shredder grabbing it, it looks like that may be the case.
Prepare for battle.
Okay, so this looks about right. Leviathan going to be loading out with Shredder in the safe lane as the Morphling, supported by Flying Zebra on the Lion. Bottom lane, again, we're going to see the dual lane of Jenkins on the Batrider and Nusham on the Spirit Breaker. And last but not least, we're going to have Shibby playing on the mid Zeus.
And for the complexity side, they're going to send Z-Freak on the Nyx Assassin, solo off-lane bugs, pretty standard stuff there. Riser is on the Shaker. Got Swindle Melons once again on the Lina. This time Squeeze going to be handling the Disruptor, and Zizzy for now is solo safe lane as the Spectre. But if they leave the Spectre alone on the safe lane, oh man, bad times. She does have a lot of regen. She's going to need a quick magic stick though, because, well, she's up against a Batrider, and it seems like, well, complexity, they're not really positioning themselves like they want to help the Spectre all that much. It's most likely just going to be positioning to get this bounty rune for the Lina.
Yeah, and then after that, go ahead and defend the Spectre. Although the Spectre is not going to die in bottom lane, I want to say. The ability for Complexity to get kills and punish this dual lane coming out from Leviathan is pretty limited, actually. Nusham's very tanky on the Spirit Breaker, starting out with Stout Shield, having 720 HP and 5 armor. There's really not much you can do about him. Spectre's damage output at this point in the game is abysmal, and even though Disruptor and Earthshaker can keep somebody in place that long, I don't think it's going to be enough unless they're already softened up by some harass coming out from Squee. And maybe that's not even the case. Earthshaker for the time being is going to head up towards top and offer a Fissure Block for Z-Freak, opening up with boots first. Riser wants to be pretty nomadic on this Earthshaker, and that might end up being pretty poor for Complexity, as ZZ is going to have a long road to recovery.
Yeah, but the problem is, even though he does have boots first, he only has 1 clarity, so Earthshaker's going to be running around. Well, now he has no clarity, so he's going to be running around trying to make action happen, but realistically, he can only make 1 action happen, and then he's going to be tapped out of mana. So Riser is going to have to either buy more clarities or get, like, a first blood to get a bottle or something like that. Otherwise, a Shaker with no mana is a really, really bad hero. So Shaker, maybe he's going to make his rotation down towards the bottom lane to help out the Spectre, because already Spectre is up against a dual lane that, though it is really awkward, like the Batrider Spirit Breaker dual lane, no one really expects that. She can't really do anything in this lane, because if she walks up, she's going to get hit by a whole bunch of spells.
Yeah, and if there's a couple too many Lucky Bashes onto ZZ, it's not unheard of to see this lane kill off the Spectre. With an Orb of Venom on Nusham, this is incredibly scary, and the turn rate slow on Spectre, more than most heroes, is so darn annoying. The hero's turn rate's already pretty bad. Nyx Assassin up towards top has managed to find himself level 2. He'll interrupt a pull being operated by Flying Zebra, or at least attempt to. Looks like the pull's still going to go through, but then again, Flying Zebra gets clapped, and now if another Impale lands, this could be the death of the Lion. Impale going to miss, so Flying Zebra is going to be alright. Now the turnaround's there for Z-Freak. They'll hex him up. They have another Earth Spike at the ready. Shredder has a wave for him, and this is going to be first blood drawn by Leviathan. Flying Zebra going to pick up that last hit.
At the same time, bottom lane, there was an absolute brawl going on, but no one going to lose their life there. It's just a single first blood for Leviathan up on the top lane. They are putting a lot of pressure on this dual lane. Jenkins Nusham are an awkward dual lane to say the least, and well, Squee, just by having a ranged hero in this lane with quite a bit of range, 600, is going to help out in this lane for complexity, but having the bug drop first blood, and I mean, trying to go for that lion kill, I guess, is justifiable. The upside there is huge if you get an assassin with an early jump and gold, but that really costs him. Now down towards bottom lane, Squee now under the gun from Nusham, looking for that bash. How lucky is your 17%? The Fissure's gonna slow him and Jenkins both down. Now Zizzy's right on top of Nusham with a couple more right clicks. This should be a kill for the Spectre. Jenkins is gonna go deep to try to kill off Squee. Firefly with 4 stacks, not quite gonna do it. At least it will do it right after he dies. Nusham's gonna get punched by Riser, leading to a 2-for-1 down on this bottom lane. Suddenly the score is all tied up.
Even though they do wipe the bottom lane, Spectre got neither of those last hits and has still not been farming throughout the entire game. She's 1-0, and although this is going to pick up for ZZ, bottom lane's still not lost for Leviathan, I want to say, even though, for sure, that's a really big turn for complexity.
Well, they do see the Spectre right now, but going for her is going to be a little bit rough. All the action is definitely going to be isolated to these side lanes, as over towards mid, it's just a Zeus versus Lina matchup. Though the kill potential certainly is here for both sides, especially when the Zeus is holding a red rune. That's haste in the bottle. They're probably just going to be trading nukes and looking for those last hits. Lina probably should draw a deny advantage with her advantage in base damage, but man, I don't think this lane is really going to result into that much, since the supports have their hands full with these side lanes, like up towards top, where they're going to get a Hex and Impale onto Z-Freak. He will Carapace out that spike, but Shredder's right on the Nyx Assassin's tail, waiting for another waveform that will get the kill unless it misses, and it won't. Shredder going to get blocked a little bit by the creeps, though. Forced to Strength Warp, but doesn't have the mana to do it. He's not going to die to the tower. He's barely going to get out. In the meantime, bottom lane, another brawl happening, and this time it's going to be the Disruptor to die with no trade in sight for Complexity.
Isolated over on the left, and this time with no Earthshaker at the ready. Complexity are going to lose out in the bottom lane. Although Riser's been effective wherever he is, he can't be in all three lanes at once, and right now it kind of feels like the Earthshaker needs to be. With this dual lane setup, there's potential for action in top and bottom, and that just spreads the Earthshaker so very thin.
Yeah, if it was like mid and top or something like that, then fantastic. But with the situation that they're in right now, not really to be. They're going to deny the top bounty rune, as here comes the Spirit Breaker charging in towards Swindlemelon. Should be going to drop a bolt into the Lina. Swindlemelon's also going to hit with the spike. I think this Lina might be going down, but she might get a return kill. Here comes the Cap. Lands his first hit, looking for a bash, gets it as well, and Swindlemelon's going to die to one more right click from Flying Zebra. Now 2-0-1 this Lion. Maybe a fast blink dagger for him, but he's being chased down by a Shaker. Looking for a block. Going to find a decent one, but Flying Zebra is still pretty fast with the boot. Same movement speed as Riser. Nusham getting in there with the bash and the Orb of Venom slow is going to buy a lot of space for Flying Zebra to get away. Squee coming in with only a level 1 glimpse, can't bring back the Lion, and Chibi, Lion, and Nusham all walk away from that fight with their lives and with a pretty substantial victory as well, killing off the Lina, denying the bounty rune, and also Jenkins having a free roll on the bottom lane because there's no supports to mess him up. This game is looking pretty similar to the first, as Leviathan are off to a rearing start.
They really are. It's very lucky that they got the bashes when they did. If they didn't, I think Swindlemelons can probably turn around and get a couple of kills, but just the perfect opportunity for it right before the Nyx Assassin Impale comes. He kills off Swindlemelons very easily to 2-5. And Leviathan, all throughout the meantime, are getting farm on their Morphling, who's also gotten a kill and been involved in 2. This is compared to the Spectre on the enemy side, who has Poor Man's Shield and Brown Boots. There's really not anything that ZZ can do about this in the meantime. Although he's going to bury himself some tangos, there's a brawl breaking out in mid, hexing up onto Swindlemelon, throwing a bolt his way to the Finger of Death, not ready for the Lion, but Laguna Blade is there. Swindlemelon's still going to die before dropping the LSA. The turn rate slow on the Sticky Napalm is ridiculous. Now, the Bat Rider will chase down Squee. Squee, only one stack of the Napalm. This shouldn't be a kill for Jenkins, and now he's probably going a little too deep, although Nusham's rearing to go. He has a charge, and it's going to land it right into Squee. There's no man on the Earthshaker. He can't react to this as they bolt down the Disruptor, and now Leviathan going to come away with another 2 kills.
Man, Jenkins also drawing level 6 out of all of that. He has 1,300 gold, so he's participating in these fights, and he's getting very close to his Blink Dagger at the same time. It's such a rarity to see Bat Riders this active around the map, yet he's making it work, and he's not falling behind in the farm either. Granted, Morphling Spectre both not really a part of that fight, though Haunt was used, got Spectre an assist. That's okay and everything for the Spectre, but Zizzy really needs a lot more than that because the rest of his team is truly suffering, especially if this Bat Rider does end up grabbing as fast a blink that he will grab, and he's going to just farm up the enemy jungle for a little bit, potentially a little bit risky, but so far unpunished. Leviathan with almost complete control of this game, and again, it's these supports from Leviathan, Nusham on the Spirit Breaker, and Flying Zebra on the Lion that are really making all this action happen.
Yeah, they definitely are. I said Flying Zebra doesn't have his Finger of Death, and he is so far away from it. Even though he's been involved in 4 kills, that's probably all of the experience that Flying Zebra has found on the line. Not to say that he's playing poorly or anything. He does have a long road to recovery before he does get that level 6. They're giving more room to Nusham on the Spirit Breaker. Bat Rider is going to be farming up his stacks in the woods, and that'll give Spirit Breaker the time to get Nether Strike up and online.
Mid lane, they're going to try to go for a kill onto Shibi, however, he narrowly dodges an LSA. Zeus is packing that level 6, so if anyone gets anyone else pretty low, the Zeus will be able to jam it home with that Thunder God's Wrath, so Z-Freak's got to be careful. Hell, the Spectre has to be super careful. He knows what he's up against right now in the Spirit Breaker in his lane, but Leviathan can easily rotate another hero in and make this Spectre's life difficult. So far, all the action's been happening in the mid lane, and Spectre's going to be pretty grateful that that is the case, but suddenly action on bottom as Izzy gets too close to the creep wave. He's going to get hit with the charge and then the lasso, pulled right back into a spike. He doesn't have a panic haunt, and I don't think he's even going to get a chance to. Classic Zeus action right there, stealing the kill from bottom lane, but it's a kill on the Spectre, and at any stage in the game, that's going to be fantastic for the team doing the killing.
Yeah, they throw everything in the kitchen sink at the Spectre, but as you said, it's completely worth it. There's no reason to let that Spectre have farm. Smoke up from the Disruptor and the Earthshaker inside the mid lane is looking to is going to intercept a charge coming out from the Spirit Breaker, and maybe he's bit off a lot more than he could chew. There is a Glimpse at the ready, and Glimpse is very good against Nusham, but maybe they want to look and turn for the kill. The Glimpse is going to pull him right back in to almost an LSA. It's going to be wide to the right. Spectre going to try to haunt in, slows down Nusham. Nusham's running at a crawl. He does have a charge away, however, and they don't have a way to cancel as the Glimpse was previously used, and LSA is too far off. Nusham going to be able to charge away on no HP, but a Fissure is going to connect from Riser. Now he's going to get the punch down. Is Nusham fast enough? He activates the Empowering Haste, and he's out of there free. Are you kidding me? Nusham going to live by the skin of his teeth, as is the Lion.
Swindlemelon's not exactly on point there with the Lina. The second, at the very least second, missed LSA, and you're not really supposed to be missing your LSAs when you have Glimpse to set up. I mean, if you get the timing right in your mind, then the enemies are going to be right where the little blue mark says they're going to be at exactly the correct time. So if that LSA landed, for sure that would have been a kill on the Spirit Breaker. So Nusham pretty lucky to get out of there with his life. Everyone else also dropping pretty low, namely this Lion on the Leviathan side, but they were getting blindsided. There was a perfect wall off, yet it just wasn't good enough for Complexity because they couldn't land their skills. That shouldn't really be a problem that any team should be running into, at least not with their drafts. Like, if there was a Mirana, maybe. Shibby this time's gonna get glimpsed right back into an LSA. There's how the combo's supposed to work, and the Zeus is going to die. They get it to work by the time they need it to. Z-Freak up on top lane, though, is going to die to the Morphling. Shredder finding a solo kill on the Nyx. This Morphling is doing so much better than the Spectre.
Yeah, he's gotten so much more space. At level 9, Morphling's damage from Waveform is pretty immense with 325. That's the same as max out raise. They're going to look for the Spectre down towards bottom, pulling back the Spec inside the Firefly. They don't get a bash, but they have an Earth Spike, and they'll Hex up Squee. There's no way for them to respond, and now they might be able to go for the Disruptor. This is a pretty aggressive tower dive, but he turns around with the sticky Napalm. He can't turn around for anything. It ends up getting smashed in the face as Batrider mops up a double kill in bottom lane.
Not only that, Z-Freak and Riser also TP down to the bottom lane. Oh, well, they'll actually get Flying Zebra, who sticks around for way too long as a less than half HP Lion. So they get something out of their TP rotations. I was about to say that TP's wasted as well. Should be over towards mid, is going to survive because Swindlemelon does not have a Laguna Blade. He's going to fight to the death, and that death will be incoming. But Nusham going to make it even 1-1. So the Spirit Breaker is the real winner there. Haunt is actually out, and I don't think there's anyone that the Spectre can go for. No, she's going to reality over towards the mid lane, but 6-12 for Leviathan. Their Morphling is getting free farm, and Leviathan this game are doing such a great job at slowing down the Spectre. Like, they're not really putting someone in lane that's passively shutting down the Spectre. They're just going for kills every single time with the same three heroes, the Spirit Breaker, Lion, and Bat, to do it every single time, and that's exactly what you have to do versus the Spectre. Kill her off, rinse, repeat, then kill her off again and again and again. And then eventually, she's just going to have such a bad game that Shredder's going to be able to take over on the Morphling. So this is Leviathan pretty much firing off on all cylinders, and they're firing off right into the Spectre.
Yeah, they're in control at the moment. And Nyx Assassin and the Lina are the ones that need to get control back for Complexity. Z-Freak on the Nyx has been underperforming, and I hate to say that it's because of the Nyx, but it's probably because of the Nyx pick. Every time we've seen it, it really kind of feels like it doesn't do enough, but hopefully he'll be able to partner up with Swindlemelons. Currently Swindlemelon's getting charged, but that charge is going to be cancelled by Nusham. That's a little too aggressive, so he won't go for it.
I mean, Z-Freak has been, with the exception of that Vendetta kill on the line down towards bottom lane, up on top the entire time. It's resulted in several deaths, so that in and of itself is not good, but also he's not even getting that much farm. He's getting levels, which is all well and good for the Nyx Assassin, but level 7 Nyx Assassin, he will maybe be able to kill off the Zeus, maybe the Lion if he gets a good initiation off with that Vendetta. But if you're not roaming around, you're not going to be getting any kills for Z-Freak. So he has to take a very nomadic role. He has to buy more space for Zizzy, and every single kill he gets is one less hero that Spectre has to worry about. But so far it's Leviathan to start pretty much every single fight with the Spirit Breaker. So, speaking of, another spike.
Yeah, there's a fight started onto Riser. He's going to get lassoed back into an Earth Spike. Sorry for stealing that one for you. Zeus tried to steal that with the Thunder God's Wrath, but unfortunately he wasn't fast enough. I was.
Classic Zeus, man. I don't know what it is, just the ability to steal kills makes them try every single time. They're actually going to run to Swindlemelons, who has no mana. There's the charge, and Swindlemelons has no backup here. Spectre's right around the corner, but what can Spectre do? Literally nothing, as Lina gets fingered to the dome. And it's going to be Flying Zebra to drop that nuke again on that Lina. This aggressive power of Leviathan right now, just with the Spirit Breaker Lion, is working wonders in Complexity. they have no answers. That should be where Earthshaker throws the fissure and saves Alina's ass, or Disruptor's there for a glimpse back, but simply not the case. Jenkins even gonna zone Zizzy out from clearing out creeps in her own jungle. The Spectre literally has nowhere safe to farm. If you can't farm here, then where can you farm?
Nowhere. Nowhere safely, at the very least. The aggressive warding vision coming out from Leviathan is pretty spot on. They can keep tabs of the Spectre wherever she is, and even without wards. The combo of Zeus ultimate into the charge from the Spirit Breaker is actually pretty sick. Z-Freak is currently Vendetta'd up towards top. He spots out Shredder, but I don't think there's a way that he can actually go for this kill, especially not if his Disruptor gets assassinated on the backline. Squee gets charged in by Nushim. There is no ultimate. The Nether Strike is still on cooldown. The Spectre's going to haunt in and killing out Flying Zebra as he's stuck inside the Static Storm. Shredder's going to jump over, and Spectre's actually going to reality in. Shredder's taking a decent amount of damage, but with a bash, they might be able to get out safely. The charge is going to land through all three of them. Shredder's strength morphing. He's going to eat a Laguna Blade, but the damage just isn't there immediately from Swiddle Mountains, and the LSA is going to miss. Shredder's going to be able to get out safely. Is there a glimpse available? No, it's still on cooldown for 9 seconds, but it's still a double kill for Zizzy. With the Zeus ultimate, they'll kill the Disruptor in return, but a long stun onto Swindle Melons as the Morphling is strength morph will buy him enough space to get out to safety. Blink forward, the Bat Rider's going to catch out the Lina, a mega kill for him in what started out as a pretty good fight for Complexity, and I'm going to say it still was since Spectre got a decent amount of farm from it. Ends up being alright for Leviathan.
That was a 2 for 2. They dump their entire payload on the Lion, and at this point, if you're a Complexity, you take what you can get, but they also try to go for this Morphling, and they just fall short because of the survivability of the hero. Like, he is pretty darn difficult to kill. He's a level 11 hero, and that in and of itself is a lot of health to burn through, but man, they kept that Morphling alive. They go way too deep for that kill, and if they do get it, yeah, the reward is certainly substantial and probably worth the risk, but Leviathan, they get away with Shredder. Their Zeus collects a kill. Their Bat Rider is going to collect a kill, I believe, as well. Bat Rider's 5-1-5. Jenkins also has a Force Staff and Blink. 15 minutes in the game. There are games where Bat Rider is just now picking up his Blink Dagger, yet here he is with the Force Staff and level 11 to boot. So Leviathan, that's the sacrifice that Flying Zebra is looking to make every single time. Up towards top, Shredder is going to get into another fight, this time with the Lina again, but there's a Firefly and an incoming Spirit Breaker. Swindlemelon is going to die before he can dump his payload out. The charge jumps over to Z-Freak now. Squee is also going to make his arrival, gets the Static Storm onto Shredder with the fissure there as well. Shredder going to take quite a bit of damage, and he will be taking Echo Slam, and he will be brought down, but Z-Freak is still stuck in this river area. Firefly is going to wear out, luckily for Z-Freak, but a Flame Break is maxed out. That'll grab Jenkins a triple kill, a 3-for-1 trade. Though it is the Morphling to die, a 3-for-1 is perfectly worth it. I'm actually surprised Shibby didn't try to steal any of those kills.
For sure. Jenkins is a happy bat this game. 8-1-5, now has a gem up, and any amount of map control that Complexity did have is now going to start dissolving. Even though they lose their Morphling there, he doesn't lose that much gold, and this bat is unmanageable, really, I want to say. Complexity, they need ward vision to keep the Spectre safe. Without wards, they won't know where Spirit Breaker's charging from, they won't know where Bat's lurking, and at that point, a Drum's Aquila is not going to save you.
And Spectre is nowhere close to anything aggressive. That's really what Complexity are aiming towards. That's what every team is pretty much aiming towards whenever they grab the Spectre. She's going to be forced to go for this kind of awkward mid-game fighting build. It's going to be scary for Flying Zebra as the Lion and the Zeus as well, but that's about it. Leviathan are tanking enough on the rest of the heroes to pretty much shrug off anything that the Spectre is going to do to them, and they'll probably have enough to just turn around and kill her in response. Zeus is also working with a Midas, has the Soul Ring, so maybe a Bloodstone on the way for Shibby, but Zeus, though he has died twice, been collecting quite a few heads for his team, and for Complexity, they just can't really get much going. Z-Freak level 9 is working with an okay amount of aggressive power, but we saw how useful he was in the last fight. Not very much so. Swindlemelon's going to get jumped by a Lion and a Bat, and once again, the Lina's going to die. Squee is also going to get completely drained out. Jenkins has a lot of Firefly left, and Squee's now caught in the Firefly. Here comes the cow. I don't even know if the cow is going to arrive in time with Thunder God's Wrath landing. No, it won't. It's going to be a godlike streak for Jenkins this game, 9-1-6, and man, Leviathan are just feeding off of the Complexity heroes, and now they're going to start taking towers to boot. Shibby clears out a tier 1. Yeah,
he's doing that and then some. This is probably one of the most impressive bat games you're going to see, or rather, the best KDAs you're going to see on a bat. Leviathan are controlling the map wonderfully, and it's very rare that you ever get to see a Bat Rider at the top of a net worth chart. And it's not even because he's farming. I mean, he does have the second highest last hit, so you can't take anything away from him in that regard, but still, charge up towards top. It's going to creeps coming out from Nushim. The Nyx Assassin's safe for the time being.
I guess the downside of getting Jenkins all these kills is that it is a Batrider getting all these kills, and the ceiling for a Batrider is pretty darn low. Like, the amount of impact... Wait, did he just sell... Okay, I was like, what? His inventory had more than just a Blink Dagger and Force Staff, but he's going to grab the Travels now. The Batrider, as far as his potential in the super late game, not exactly there. So Leviathan would rather have these kills going towards the Zeus or even the Spirit Breaker at this point, but man, he has Travels, Blink, Force Staff, 18 minutes in. That's an insane amount of farm. Swindlemelons also, he's going to get charged in. Nushim's actually, going for Squee instead, lands with the charge, and they also grab Riser. They're going to settle for the Earthshaker, and they will bring him down in an instant. The Focus Fire, is it still on point? Seems like it will be, as actually no, Z-Freak gets in there with a nice 2-man stun. The Static Storm is there as well into Shibby. It's a double kill for Zizzy, but here comes the Morphling. He'll go straight for Squee, and he will work down the Disruptor pretty much without a hitch. He's looking for more, though, as Nushim's trying to distract someone off to the right side. Left side, rather. It's going to be another strike onto Zizzy. Impale, though, again from Z-Freak, this time onto 2 heroes, but none of these heroes are actually dying. Shredder taking small amounts of damage from the Lina, but they're chasing after this Spectre, who's stuck in the trees. Thunder God's Wrath is going to jam it home as they charge forward for Z-Freak and to Swindlemelons both. They'll kill off the Bug, although no Carapace coming out just in time. Jenkins should chase him down, and no, it's the Urn Charge to do it. Lina, where did she run off to? She teleported back to the base so they don't lose the Lina. It's probably the best fight that Complexity have had thus far in this game because they actually get a couple of kills, but still Leviathan walk away with a huge victory because Shredder is surviving. The Zeus gets to live, Nushim gets to live. That's just a really bad fight for Complexity, and to add insult to injury, they get the tower deny as well.
I hate to say that Lina's having a worse game than the Spectre, but she might be having a worse game than the Spectre. How that fight started for Swindlemelons is that she was fighting up against a Spirit Breaker replicate. She hit it once, expected it to be real, and Laguna Blades it. And then Morphling comes into that replicate and just manhandles the Lina. And then on the backline, everybody's dying. And although Complexity don't lose everybody, it's still a disastrous fight for them. It's 20 minutes in, and, well, there's your Yule Scepter flying out. So maybe Swindlemelons can use this to set up some kills, but still he's very underfarmed. And really, nothing's going right for Complexity, I want to say. The Spectre's underfarmed, the Lina's underfarmed, the Nyx Assassin isn't getting kills. And although the Earthshaker and Disruptor are getting a couple of good saves, it doesn't really compare to what Leviathan are bringing to the table, and what they're going to be bringing next is a Roshan. With the Medallion up for the line, Shredder can take this pretty easily.
Well, it's still going to be potentially punishable by Complexity, though they don't have a Haunt right now. They will have a Haunt in time to scout this out if they smell it coming. They're instead setting up for Jenkins. Spike out of the Vendetta. It's going to whiff, and, well, the Haunt is there, which will see the Roshan, but they won't be able to actually do anything about it, even though all these heroes are very weak. This Batrider buying so much space for his team as he gives his life in exchange for the Aegis. Oh no, Riser, what are you doing? He's going to reveal himself with the Fissure. Now wait for him through after another strike, and they get a kill and a Roshan. They could even look for more because it's an even 4-4 so far. Shredder, though, not really with the most mana, is going to go straight towards Swindlemelons, and he's looking to use his Aegis immediately. Nushim, Shibby closing in as well. Shredder's going to take a Laguna Blade, but Shredder doesn't even care. He's going to bottle up after the fact, and Thunder God's Wrath going to jam it home towards the Lina. They also see the Spectre teleporting out. They see Squee teleporting out, so they can't get anything else. But it's a 1-for-3, and they still have control of this Aegis. It's, for like the 4th time, a fantastic fight for Leviathan. Maybe even like the 5th time.
Okay, so even though that's a 1-for-3, I'll put this into perspective. That's the Beyond Godlike from the bat down the drain. So the gold change in that fight is actually favoring Complexity, which is ridiculous. And the Batrider lost a gem. So in a vacuum, if they didn't get the Roshan, I'll say that doesn't favor Leviathan. I think the biggest issue of that fight is that it was the Disruptor to get that Beyond Godlike spree. If that 1,065 gold was on the Spectre, I'm honestly tempted to say that that favors Complexity.
Yeah, probably, but I mean, at least they get the kill, right? Like, Batrider has been an absolute menace. That's his 2nd death, and he has another gem. Did the gem? I guess they just couldn't grab the gem. So, well, since they didn't get the gem, then clearly it's a fight that very, very much so favors the Leviathan side, since it seems like Jenkins wasn't really slowed down that much by that death. He's now looking for another lasso, and Zizzy, if you walk up, or even if you don't walk up, you might just as easily die. Lasso's gonna connect. Zizzy gonna get dragged right back into Shredder and Flying Zebra Glimpse a little bit late because Zizzy's already dead. They see Squee, they can't really do much about that, but Spectre, for the 4th time in this game, is gonna get picked off by the Batrider, and Shredder now in prime position to go for this tower push with the rest of his team. Complexity, if they had a Blink Dagger on Shaker, they could do something about it, but they don't.
Yeah, at the moment, Leviathan
Radiant's middle tower
excuse me,
is
are
under attack.
maybe sacrificing a little bit of Zeus's gold since he did buy back for the ultimate in the mid engagement. But still, they can continue on with this push. Complexity are not battle ready in any way, shape, or form. You have the face drums Aquila and the makings of a Diffusal Blade for Spectre, but at 23 minutes in, almost Diffusal Blade doesn't cut it. Oh, Earn Charge on Lina gonna tick her down after the Zeus ultimate, barely getting that kill, but it's a kill nonetheless. This is... I really think that this is just not Swindle Melon's day. He plays his Lina pretty well, but these last 2 games have been pretty terrible for him.
Yeah, and it doesn't really help that the Lina level 12 is getting aggressed upon by level 13 quote-unquote support Spirit Breaker. Like, there's not much that you can do about that. Eul Scepter can only buy you so much space, and Nusham, he is pretty darn stacked. 5, 2, and 15. So many kill participations under the belt of the Spirit Breaker that he's going to transition into another kind of semi-ish or pure carry role for Leviathan. So Complexity, they're already struggling to deal with this Morphling and actually kill him off. They will struggle even more to deal with both the Morphling and the Spirit Breaker. They just don't have the damage output for it. They have, I guess, the dream scenario of everyone deciding to clump up and getting Static Storm, but they could only take so many kills off of that one, as well as Leviathan grab another tier 2 tower right now. And for Complexity, do they have any trades in sight? It doesn't seem like it. Minor amounts of pressure, negligible amounts of pressure up on the top lane from Z-Freak, who still hasn't really done anything in this game.
Yeah, it's a scary amount of farm on Leviathan. If you take a look at the net worth chart, that's pretty much the story of this game. The only hero that's being outfarmed by anybody on the side of Complexity is the Lion, and even he's not too far behind. He's going to have a Blink Dagger on top of his Medallion Tranquil's Bracer, and that's almost on par with the enemy's safe lane carry, which is Spectre. I'm really drawing for straws, trying to find something that Complexity can do to get back into this game. I think it relies on that dream team fight off of the back of a Blink Dagger on Riser, which is coming up in 100 gold, and Leviathan making mistakes, and that's probably the more important one.
Well, this is not a good way to start. It's Jenkins just fireflying around with the haste rune, looking for whoever he could find, and Nyx Assassin is standing still. Not like if he was moving it would have helped him that much, but Batrider's going to set up yet another kill for his team. 10, 2, and 11. This Jenkins Bat, and with that gem, even if the Nyx Assassin wasn't blown up within the duration of what's soon to be a level 3 lasso, a Vendetta wouldn't save him, a Spike Carapace will end it Impale, that definitely won't save him. It's really a bad situation for the Nyx Assassin to be in. Arcane Boots, 25 minutes in only, that's bad farm on any hero, let alone an off lane as Swindle Melons. Oh no! Oh no, I've seen this before and I know how it ends. Zeus has his ultimate, this time it's Aghanimed, and Swindle Melons is going to die. Rip in peace, Lina. Yusham this time also has a Nether Strike, and Batrider will take the kill before Zeus can steal it. So Batrider wins that race.
Okay, so I think Lina probably killed herself by walking around the corner. She had no time to react with a Eul Scepter to cancel that charge. Even if she cancels that charge, to be honest, I don't think it saves her because of the Batrider coming in and because of the Zeus ultimate. But regardless, it's going to be another pick-off for Leviathan as they continue to strangle this map. Tier 2 tower up and top is going to fall, and that's the last outer tier tower for Complexity. Now they have to wait for a high ground defense. Glimpse up towards top onto the Morphling, but I don't think they can kill him before he gets a replicate off. He is going to be silenced up. He does not have an Aegis, but Shredder's hardly taking any damage. There's your Echo Slam. It's going to be pretty darn good. Shredder's going to be able to replicate out, however, they just don't have the lockdown for him. They might be able to catch Nusham on the retreat, however, but he has a BKB TP, and there's no way that they can cancel this. Nusham's home free.
That's not exactly what he wanted to do with that BKB. Straight 10-second BKB charge into TP out is probably the worst scenario you're going to run into. But that for Complexity, that was supposed to be the Morphling kill. They kill off the Lion just with random AoE that's being thrown around, which is all well and good. But they focus everything that they have into this Morphling, and they just can't kill him off. And at a certain point, Shredder, if he had backup, he could even conceivably turn around and start fighting if he is going to be going for this shotgun build for the Morphling, which is going to be coming in very, very rapidly. So Shredder's going to be working with a lot of turnaround potential. This Morphling has gone for a fairly defensive build, completing the entire Helm of the Dominator instead of, just grabbing a little bit of lifesteal for value. But Shredder is farming up an absolute storm right now, and the rest of the team is following suit. Complexity get a kill, but a kill at this point in the game is not going to be enough to bring them back into the game. They need 3 or 4 consecutive good team fights to draw even.
For sure. if they do dry even in a couple of team fights, maybe they'll buy Spectre enough space to come back into this game. But for the time being, it's only cost-efficient items, and the most cost-efficient that ZZ can buy. Casual Vip Booster, Blade of Alacrity presumably towards the Diff Blade, Phase Boots Aquila, and Drums. And although this has kept him alive more times than not, 446 is not a terrible KDA by any means. He's not able to farm very fast, and he's also not able to get kills, so at that point, you're not really doing anything. You're just banking on the late game.
And like, again, there's no real space for ZZ to farm. If he goes to the bottom lane, well, Lena tried that, and she got picked off twice. She has to be with Z-Freak, who is just a hero with the stun, so that Spectre can even get any experience. So the threat of Leviathan with their insane effective range, of course Zeus has global range, Nushrim has global range, and Batrider not necessarily global range, but enough so that it's close. Like, there's nowhere that Complexity can stand while at the same time feeling safe. They'll smoke up with the majority of their heroes, if not all of them, and they'll take a walk about the enemy jungle, but there's no one there. Maybe they get a tier 1 tower. That's a small win for Complexity, and hey, they're hungry for any sort of win, no matter how small, but oh no, it doesn't even seem like they're going to make that play. They have to actually TP back, because they'll take a tier 1, great, but they're going to lose a tier 3 if they try to do that.
Yeah, for sure. At this moment, Leviathan are the ones completely in control, even without the completed shotgun on Morphling. Shredder's still doing a decent chunk of damage, and they're going to go for it. Up into the high ground, Shredder's going to start chipping away at this tower. Although it's not the most significant damage, it means a lot more than this tier 1 going down. Up towards top, they're going to find themselves a Batrider replicate, and they will kill that off. That is going to deny the ability for Morphling to back off instantly, so I suppose that's a small win for them, but it's not worth getting this much damage onto the tier 3. That's almost 600, or rather 1,000 damage. I can't math. 800, my goodness, in between the two. But regardless, it's about halfway.
Well, on average, you get that number correctly.
Yeah, on
and that's
average.
What matters. Because statistics, and that's how it works. I guess for Complexity, if they did get into a heads-up fight down the bottom lane, there's not much of a chance that they come out ahead in that regard, so at least they get something, right? They get a tower, they get a little bit of extra gold, they have to force the Spirit Breaker to charge out of there, so one fewer hero for Complexity to deal with for the very, very short term, so it's a small, minor victory for them and Leviathan. You know, I guess a tower damage is nice and everything, but it's not going to directly impact their wallets. Z-Freak, though, he's on the hunt once again. He's going to run into Flying Zebra. That's pretty much the only kill that he can 100-0. I think he can do it, but Nushrim, he's right next to the Lion, as is Jenkins, and he has a gem. Z-Freak, the jig is up, and there's a finger of death waiting for him. Sneaky Nyx Assassin, he's punished real hard because this Batrider has had this gem for what seems like the entire game.
And there's your Ethereal Blade for the Morphling, Bloodstone on the Zeus. These are huge items that can't really be met by anything on Complexity. The latest pickup that they have is the Diffusal Blade completed on the Spectre. And although this is a nice, cost-efficient damage item, 30 minutes in, it's not going to cut the cake. And, well, the cake is a Morphling that even when he's only on 1 strength is still sitting at 1,000 HP and has that Strength Morph available. And the only tool that they have to stop Strength Morph is Squeeze Static Storm. And it is a pretty good way to stop it, but in that duration, do they have enough damage? I'm tempted to say no, especially if he has an Aegis. They'll only have 1 Static Storm.
Well, the Static Storm is going to be Aghanim soon, maybe. Like, so he's close to it as far as his item build is concerned, but his farm rate is not really supporting that. And yeah, there's a Roshan that's being, I'm not even going to say attempted, cleared out by the Leviathan side. Complexity can haunt and see what's happening, but that's not going to do anything. Shredder probably going to have a double life soon enough. If you look at all the HP pools of Complexity right now, that's the impact of 1 spell being casted from Leviathan. And Zeus, though he isn't really working on the Refresher Orb right now, is still doing a truckload of damage just with that 1 button press. And now with this Aegis, it seems like Leviathan want to finish what they started down in this bottom lane.
Yeah, that's more than 1/3 of Z-Freak's HP, and pretty similar for all of the other heroes. If there's any peripheral damage over the top, 1 Chain Lightning and a Waveform, that probably kills the Nyx. And from there on out, it's just disastrous. The Finger of Death is a point-click kill. It sounds pretty good, if you ask me. Smoke up coming out from Complexity, looking eerily similar to the smoke we saw in game number 1. Let's see if this wraparound is going to work. This time around, however, they do have a lot of AoE follow-up to the initiation coming out from Riser, so maybe they can throw it together.
Well, if they're wrapping around, they should go a little bit faster, because Complexity, they're bearing down in the tier 3s. It looks like the Leviathan might catch out this Lion, but the positioning for Complexity right now, I mean, it's not that great. Like, right now, if they got jumped on, they would all be dead probably, but it's going to be Jenkins to be revealed off first. They're going to jump in for Shibby instead. Elsay is there, and they'll bring down the Zeus very low, but he'll get the commit suicide off. At the same time, Lasso onto Squee, trying to get rid of the Static Storm, which, I mean, it's already been down, but Flying Zebra is going to get glimpsed back. Shredder's still just going to town, has that Aegis. It's so far 3 for 1 in favor of Leviathan as they chase down for a little bit more complexity with a chaotic team fight, but it just isn't good enough because they can't kill off this Morphling. They focus everything on the Zeus, but he even gets not a real death off, so it's like a half kill, I suppose, for complexity. Shredder is very low on mana, but let's see how much damage he can do despite that fact. He's going to go for Swing Melons with Spike. They'll kill him off an instant, and the charge jumps over to Zizzy after the Spectre dies. Zizzy's going to die, although Echo Slam for Visor, really, really good onto a whole bunch of heroes. He just can't get any kills off of it, and that looks like it might just be game. Shredder's still alive, and he's not even strength morphed at all. He's sitting very comfortably at 400 HP with his lifesteal. Leviathan, what have they lost in the grand scheme of things? Nothing. Bloodstone charges.
Yeah, Bloodstone charges. That's all they got, and it costs complexity not only a buyback on the Lina and Earthshaker, but a dieback too. That's GG called out by Swindlemelons, and I can't blame them. Another really well played game coming out from Leviathan. They go for a very similar draft to game 1, and it works wonders for them. Their focus fire and their execution is really good. It kind of feels like Leviathan are almost like a new team after moving to their gaming house. It's been really fun to watch them.
And we'll see if they are able to keep up with this gameplay. Going up against complexity, it's a pretty hard task. Going up against Void Boys in the future, going to be just as hard, if not harder. And that is going to be at a future date, guys. Leviathan versus Void Boys. And of course, complexity, because they did lose this best of 3, are going to be dropping down and going up against Swag in the lower bracket, again at a future, let's say, unknown date. So that is it for now. But there is going to be another game in an hour and 20, I think. When is that game? So an hour 20. Guys, we're going to have North American Rejects versus Azurus Gaming. Not sure what I'm going to do with the stream until then, but for right now, guys, if you enjoyed the cast, then be sure to hit that follow button. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook, both of those .com/HeflaTV. I'm Mikelorus. You can find me on Twitter at Mikelorus. He's GrandisV. You can find him at Twitter at GrandisV. And for right now, guys, congratulations to Leviathan, but we will return in an hour 20 for the next series, Azurus versus North American Rejects. Later, guys.